that 2 years ago, in a press conference, Arvind Kejriwal and I had revealed the names of at least 10 people who were there in the HSBC set of accounts, and the sworn statements of 3 people before the income tax departments who had admitted that their accounts were illegal and the fact that the bank had helped them to take money abroad through Hawala channels. Unfortunately, those names have also not been disclosed by the government, though the government claims that they are disclosing the names of the people against whom investigations have been completed, because these investigations should have been completed more than 3 years ago.
The government has absolutely no difficulty in giving it to either the court, and the government shall place the list before the court, because the government has already given it to the court-constituted SIT. The government is keen that by whatever procedure, in accordance with law, we must get to the root of the matter, and the truth about these names as also these accounts must come out so that penal action can be taken against the people and the monies lying there can be brought back to India. The government is also keen that the procedure followed must be such that the reciprocating countries continue to cooperate with us.
हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट के फैसले का स्वागत करते हैं और ये बहुत बड़ी बात है कि आज सारे नामों को सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने मांगा है और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने यहाँ तक टिप्पणी की है कि ऐसा क्यों लग रहा है कि सरकार काला धन रखने वालों को बचाती हुई नजर आ रही है। मेरी एक और गुजारिश है कोर्ट से, जिसके बारे में एफिडेविट भी मैं फाइल कर रहा हूँ, कि उस लिस्ट में हर नाम के आगे एक अमाउंट लिखा हुआ है। वो अमाउंट उस व्यक्ति का उस अकाउंट में 2006 के साल में एक पर्टिकुलर डेट को उतना अमाउंट था उसका, तो उसी पे टैक्स ना लिया जाए। हर काला धन वाले को ये कहा जाए कि अपना जिस दिन तुमने अकाउंट खोला था तब से लेके आज तक की पूरी बैंक स्टेटमेंट दो। जब वो पूरी बैंक स्टेटमेंट देंगे तो हर ट्रांजैक्शन में पता चलेगा कि किससे पैसा आया था और किसको पैसा गया था। जब हर ट्रांजैक्शन की इन्वेस्टिगेशन की जाएगी तो और बहुत सारा पैसा निकल के आएगा और नए कई सारे बैंक अकाउंट्स उसमें से निकल के आएंगे।
8 months time, you are coming up with a lame excuse and an affidavit and submitting just 3 names out of 50,000 what you had promised the entire country before the elections. So the people want their money as you had promised before the elections. The country wants to know the exact, all the 50,000 names what you had promised before the elections. Don't go by just lame excuses and the same excuses which were made by the government earlier, which you used to criticize. कोई भी व्यक्ति इसके अंदर दोषी पाया जाता है, उसके खिलाफ कड़ी से कड़ी कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। कोई भी व्यक्ति किसी भी संगठन से ऊपर नहीं होता है और कोई भी व्यक्ति जिसका नाम कोई भी व्यक्ति जो दोषी पाया जाएगा उसके खिलाफ कड़ी से कड़ी कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए।
न्यायालय का आदेश है, न्यायालय का आदेश सबों को मानना चाहिए और न्यायालय ने जो आदेश किया, सुप्रीम कोर्ट हमारे देश का एक तरह से अंतिम इंटरप्रेटर है संविधान का, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जो आदेश है उसको मानना चाहिए। स्वाभाविक रूप से बहुत चर्चा है कि सरकार और भारतीय जनता पार्टी को जो बहुत से लोग चंदा देते हैं उनका नाम उसमें है, उसको छुपाने का प्रयास हो रहा है।
Sir, how do you respond to the Supreme Court order that these names should be disclosed?
Now, the Supreme Court has not yet made an order, first of all. Supreme Court, in the process of the debate which takes place in courts, has made these observations. The observations are on the right lines. I welcome them and I admire the Supreme Court for taking a very strict view of this. But I must tell you that the Double Taxation Avoidance Treaty, the path which they have taken is the path to defeat this whole investigation.
The Finance Minister has already replied to it. He has said that in due compliance with the Supreme Court's verdict, we would surely be making all the names in the Supreme Court. We will be giving it to the Supreme Court. By the way, all the names had been handed over to the SIT, which was constituted by none other than the Supreme Court, in an envelope on 27th of July 2014. So already, in fact, in a technical way, the names have been handed over.
Sir, but Ram Jethmalani says that the government or the BJP, none of the parties want to reveal the names, and they should have ideally not gone with the double avoidance tax treaty. They should have gone with the UN Convention on Prevention of Corruption. That is one. And secondly, he says there's an avoidance. The parties are not wanting to reveal the names. How do you respond to that?
I would not like to respond to the rhetorics of Mr. Ram Jethmalani, but on the serious issue of Supreme Court, our purpose has also been solved as far as the DTAA is concerned, because the Supreme Court has said that in keeping with this, the confidentiality of the names that you would reveal to the court would be maintained, and that is what the government wanted. If the confidentiality would not have been maintained, as was the last time, then definitely the DTAA would have been broken if the names would have come out in the public, which the court has said would not happen in this time.
I think it's a very, very, very important far-reaching complications judgment given by the Supreme Court on the question of the black money. In fact, the Congress was successful in not revealing the names which they have got from the French and the German government, and whatever is leaked names which they got from Switzerland, and the same which was with the BJP NDA government led by Narendra Modi. Very interestingly, few months back, the same type of affidavit was filed by the Congress government on the black money, and a replica of that affidavit was also filed by the Narendra Modi government. It seems that as it is said by Shiv Sena leader in Maharashtra, that the Shiv Sena and BJP blood group is the same. I think on the question of black money, the Congress and the BJP blood group is the same. And taking note of this fact, the Supreme Court has given them a befitting reply and a direction, and asked them in whatever manner, what may come, they should give the full list of the names.
Well, we have some more breaking news coming in on this news report. Supriya Bhardwaj, my colleague, stands by. Supriya.
Well, Pratyush, at the moment, the information that we have received is that the industry bodies have now upped the ante. They have made a fresh appeal to the Finance Ministry, especially SOCHAM, saying that the names of those in the black money list are not revealed because it's going to tarnish the image of people. They have made a fresh appeal saying that government should ensure that the reputation of these people are not tarnished, because as per the taxation treaties which have been made with the other countries, the identity won't be disclosed at any cost. So this is what we are getting the information at the moment, that there is a fresh appeal being made by SOCHAM and other industrial bodies to Finance Ministry. They are saying that they are keeping a close watch and they will be asking the government to somehow salvage the situation, because most of the names that we are learning are that of the businessmen.
All right. In fact, Supriya, I'm told that DS Rawat of ASOCHAM joins me on the phone line. Secretary General, in fact. Sir, many thanks for speaking with NewsX. The reports that we are getting, Mr. Rawat, is are fairly disturbing. That how do you see this order by the Supreme Court, really, this direction to the government of submitting those who are listed in the black money?
You know that on the face of it, as a matter of fact, as a country, we need to bring back the money, the unaccounted money that has been stashed, stashed in the foreign account. So it's a unanimity that we need to bring that money back. But the names, that those are floating around, I don't know what is the validity of that. And India has already signed this double taxation avoidance agreement with 88 countries, and others are under the process, will be signing more. And in case if we disclose the name violating those norms, perhaps, we'll be harming our own interest.
Well,
Secondly,
Mr. Rawat, you don't trust the Supreme Court with maintaining that secrecy. They've asked them to submit the names in a sealed envelope. It's for the court's perusal.
For the highest court, but the name, what our plea is that the name should not be disclosed unless the people are, that the government has adequate proof to prove that the individual is responsible or can be held guilty or the legal process could be started. Unless that, that the government had adequate proof to prove somebody as a guilty, we should not be publicly disclosing the name. Otherwise, it will not only be tarnishing the image of the individual, but it will definitely be tarnishing the image of the entire, that the businesses all in India.
All right. Okay. Well, all right. Thank you so much, Mr. Rawat, for joining us on the phone line. Let's go back to Supriya Bardwaj. We have more breaking news standing by.
For our viewers at the moment is the defense that the government is going to put before the Supreme Court tomorrow. We are learning that tomorrow morning, the first thing that will be done from the government's side on the black money issue is to provide the entire list in a sealed envelope to the Supreme Court, and along with that, a request that the names shouldn't be disclosed. What they'll be giving again, they'll be reiterating what the pleas they had given in the earlier hearings also. They'll be saying that there will be international repercussions in case these names are made public. There are approximately 88 double taxation avoidance treaties and agreements that have been signed by various countries, and it will have an impact. Whatever is going to happen in the Supreme Court in case the names are disclosed will have an impact on those treaties and agreements. At the same time, also what has left the government worried is the upcoming FTAs with US as well as EU, some of the countries of the United European Union. So certainly government is taking the entire thing into their entire thing into consideration, and then they'll be making a fresh appeal, but they'll be leaving the decision.
Okay, we'll leave it at that, Supriya, because we have more breaking news coming in.
It was a tough day for the central government and the Supreme Court in black money matter, and now we are joined by Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi. Mr. Rohatgi, now the Supreme Court says that the names will have to be disclosed. Now, what will happen next? What's your next strategy here?
You must understand that this government has no reluctance to give the names to the Supreme Court whatsoever. The first thing this government did was to constitute the SIT. We have no reluctance to give the names and all the names to the court for the simple reason that we abide by the court's directions, and we have on 27th of June this year, upon constitution of the SIT, given the entire list to the SIT. The SIT is an appointee of the Supreme Court. So in one sense, we have already given it to the Supreme Court through their delegate. We will give it again to them. The SIT is overseeing the investigation which is being done by the Income Tax Department. I will also give a latest update of the investigation which has happened into this list and into these names to the Supreme Court tomorrow.
So, Mr. Ram Jethmalani, who's the petitioner in this case, he goes on to say that this argument of DTAA is nothing but an attempt on the part of the government to conceal the names. How do you respond to
you? We do not wish to conceal any names. Argument of DTA or no argument of DTA, we have given all names, as I told you, to SIT, and we will give it to the Supreme Court. We were only going to Supreme Court because we find that there is a problem for the government to give a certification of confidentiality which is in every treaty under which information is exchanged, which provides that unless verification is done, the name should not be made public. It is possible for people to open accounts which are legal. It is not that every account is illegal. You can have a legal account. So if the account is legal, his name need not be disclosed. That is the essence of the treaty.
And what will be the impact of this proceedings of the Supreme Court on the international treaties which you were in fact about to sign?
As of today, there is no impact because we are giving to the Supreme Court in a sealed cover. Sealed cover means it will not be made public. It will be in custody of the Supreme Court, so there is no problem. And we have no hesitation in giving it. The problem will arise later if all the names without verification are made public. If that happens, we will be in breach of the treaty under which we got these names from France.
Okay, my last question. You had made an argument about right to privacy. Why such concerns raised by you?
Right to privacy I raised not as my original argument, but that has been recognized by this court, the Supreme Court, in the main judgment in para 76 to say that unless the account is illegal, a legal account holder name or details should not be made public. That is provided by the court, it is not provided by me.
So clearly, Attorney General for India Mukul Rohatgi clarifying government stand in this black money case. This is Sumit Nagpal, NewsX, Delhi.
Well, that was a NewsX exclusive. Now, shifting of focus, DMK's heir apparent, MK Stalin, seems to be ready to go to any extent to decimate the AIDMK in Tamil Nadu's assembly polls, scheduled, in fact, for 2016. Well, it's a clear attempt to woo BJP's estranged allies, Vaiko, Ramados and Vijay. Stalin has made it clear that there is no untouchable in politics. It's a tectonic shift in Dravidian politics. Plotting a realignment in Tamil Nadu, the DMK heir apparent Stalin has openly wooed BJP's estranged allies.
மேயராக பொறுப்பேற்றிருந்த நேரத்தில் எனக்கு பல அறிவுரைகளை ஆலோசனைகளை வழங்கியவர் டாக்டர் ராமதாஸ் அவர்கள். மீண்டும் 2006 திமுக ஆட்சிக்கு வந்ததற்கு பிறகு கலைஞர் முதலமைச்சராக பொறுப்பேற்ற உடனே முதல் அறிவிப்பு டாக்டர் ராமதாஸ் அவர்கள் என்ன சொன்னார் என்று கேட்டால், தலைவர் கலைஞருடைய வேலை பளுவை குறைக்க மு.க. ஸ்டாலின் துணை முதலமைச்சராக பொறுப்பேற்றால் தவறில்லை, அதை வழங்க வேண்டும் என்று முதல் குரல் கொடுத்தவர் அவர்தான்.
Aiming to checkmate Jayalalitha in the 2016 State Assembly polls, Stalin has pinned his hopes on three key men, Vaiko, Ramados and Vijay. Emboldened by the support to the DMK to oppose